But here are our players for this match that we are about to get into. Over here on the left, we have Billy Chan going to be facing off against Jesse Spencer. And it's going to be Lugia V-Star versus Gardevoir EX. These two decks we just talked about. One really capitalizes on that brute force in the beginning of the game, and one is more of a setup deck, slower paced, but takes huge knockouts to lock up those prize cards.
Yep, and it's going to be Lugia V-Star versus the Gardevoir. We've not seen a Lugia yet
I know,
so
this
far
is our first one
this weekend, and finally here in Swiss Round 14, Billy Chan is going to be piloting it. It is going to be the single strike version of the deck. It seems like the colorless build is kind of the new hotness right now. Everyone's leaning into. But Billy is sticking with the single strike build. It's been tried and true. Pair of Iono in the prizes for Jesse and one Refinement Curlia, which is never super ideal. Jesse, though, is playing just the full 4 Refinement Curlias. There's no Mirage Stepper in here. And I'm excited, Boo. We're going to get into this game. These players about to get it underway. A win here keeps them in the running. A loss almost certainly eliminates them from top cut. Here we go.
Pressure is on. We see the fist bump, and these players are off to the races here, starting over on Jesse Spencer's side of the field, our Gardevoir player, starting with the Radiant Greninja in active position and jumping into the deck right away with that Fog Crystal. Going to be able to get that Psychic Pokemon or Psychic Energy out of the deck.
Yeah, and as Jesse is flipping through the deck here, checking the prize cards, I'm noticing some things that I already see that are pretty important in this matchup. And one right away that sticks out to me is that Spiritomb. Spiritomb is super strong to be able to shut down Pokemon V abilities, which in this matchup can be really nice to get rid of your opponent's option to Lumineon at the very end of the game. So often in this matchup, it comes down to the Gardevoir player being able to Iono their opponent to low, and then hoping that the Lugia player on their turn does not find boss's orders in order to take out the Gardevoir EX to close out the game. So Jesse being able to put Spiritomb in play is going to make that even more difficult for Billy to accomplish.
Well, Chip, I think we just drew into the Spiritomb off of that Radiant Greninja concealed card, so that's in the hand now. We see this level ball being retrieved off the mysterious tail from that active Mew. So getting that level ball out and bringing that Ralts out of the deck as well to establish his board state for Jesse.
Yeah, I'm not seeing the Temple of Sinnoh in Jesse's list. That's one other card that can be really, really impactful. But Spiritomb is going to come down right away and pass things over to Billy. It's really strong in the late game, like I mentioned, but it's also solid here on turn 1 if Billy, for example, did not have a great way to get a supporter card. Now Lumineon V is not going to be an option.
Yep, Billy Chan over here on this side now, starting with the Evital in the active position and then capturing Aroma. You can do heads or tails, but the tails roll is going to get you a basic Pokemon out, which honestly is what Billy Chan wants to see here to start setting up this deck.
Yeah, it depends on if there's like an Ultra Ball in the hand. Sometimes if there's an Ultra Ball, you just want to flip aheads. You need to get that Archeops down right away, right? But not exactly sure what the hand contains here.
Let's see.
I do see an Ultra Ball.
Oh, yeah, there was already a Lugia in there as well. So, yeah, maybe we want to see the heads there for Billy Chan.
Yeah, and especially with a research.
There you go. Oh, so could have had all the pieces here. Well, I guess it still would have only been one single Archeops, but that would have been more of a statement here than having 0. And also having to Ultra Ball away the Earn Vitality and a Nest Ball. So that's more resources kind of being thrown away when you'd rather be throwing those birds into the discard pile.
Yeah, this Ultra Ball at least can still get one Archeops, so research will still ditch one. But if the heads had been flipped on catching Aroma, it would be 2 down right away. One thing, though, I do want to point out, Billy does have a Lugia V-Star in the hand, and the only supporter for turn is a research. Billy also had a Lugia V-Star in the prize card, so if Billy chooses to play this research, that means there's only one more Lugia V-Star in the deck for you to try to dig for that turn 2 Summoning Star V-Star power.
Well, here we have the research. One of those Archeops are going to go down into the discard pile, into a fresh 7 cards here for Billy Chan. Let's see what we have. Oh, bread and butter here, Chip. We got an Ultra Ball here. We have that second Archeops in the hand.
And also pretty nice here, yeah.
Yes, the Jet Energy. That's going to accelerate that Lugia V into the active position once it's attached to the Pokemon. So very nice inclusion here in the deck.
And the immediate Read the Wind, discarding the Archeops, drawing 3 additional cards, being able to allow Billy to hold onto those Ultra Balls so that on this next turn, he can search out that ever-important Lugia V-Star.
Yep, we're over here on Jesse Spencer's side now, starting off with that concealed cards to draw into 2 additional cards, evolving right away into this Curlia to get some refinement in Battle VIP Pass. Going to go into the discard for that. So 2 abilities already used. Another fun fact about Jesse Spencer is he's actually only been playing this game for 7 months, Chip.
Yeah, I actually have kind of a funny story here about Jesse Spencer. So I actually ran into and met this guy in the hotel lobby at Knoxville Regionals, I think it was. I was sitting in the lobby playing some GLC with a friend, and he just came up and started talking to us, talked about how he'd only been playing for a little while. And I remember in that moment, his confidence of saying, it's not going to be long until you see me in day 2, you see me on the live streams, and what do you know, here he is fighting for a spot in top 8.
I mean, there you go, showing off the passion here for the game, and Jesse Spencer has made it here onto the stream, and now you're casting the match, Chip. That is wicked. All right, Fog Crystal going to be allow Jesse to get another Ralts out onto the field here. That's going to be the memory skip Ralts.
Yeah, he was definitely missing this in the early setup. It looks like Battle VIP Pass was drawn during this turn. I think off the concealed cards would have been a card Jesse definitely would have liked to have had on turn 1. As so, this board is looking a little slim. Just 1 Ralts, 1 Curlia now. The Ralts obviously not able to evolve, so not a super strong turn 2 play. Jesse is playing the more aggressive build of Gardevoir, I would say. Does have the double Zacian V. Does also not have any reversal energy. So kind of the way this deck is meant to be played is try to just be really aggressive and turn 2 Zacian your opponent, which Jesse just was not able to do because his turn 1 was not a super strong setup. This is a list that was popularized by Australian players like Brent Tonneson, and looks like Jesse has decided to pick up this version as opposed to what has become more popular, the Tord build with the Lumineon, the Forest Sealstone, and the double reversal.
Yeah, a little bit of a different pace of the deck for sure. Jesse Spencer going to do the Iono here right now, but before that, Ultra Bald threw away one of the Curlia as well as an energy there, and the bench is packed full. No more space for any more Pokemon to come down here for Jesse. Just an Iono, shuffling those cards, put them up at the bottom. Both players are going to draw into 6 new cards per their prize cards left.
Jesse maybe wants to take a moment to build an energy up to make it easier for a Shining Arcana Gardevoir to take a knockout later on. If you can afford to get a couple extra energy attachments throughout the game, it does feel pretty strong later on so that it's easier to reach for higher damage numbers without, putting as much damage on yourself. Just a pass now, and we're over to Billy's side of the field.
Yeah, resetting things. Now we're over to Billy. Ultra Ball going to start with throwing away this Iono and choosing the second card from the hand here. It's going to be that Stone Journer being tossed to the Ultra Ball.
Yeah, kind of interesting. I think Billy does have a research in hand and also had an Earn and a single strike energy. So Ultra Ball could have ditched the single strike energy. Earn puts it right back into the deck, and then you get to kind of save that resource for later. But what we might be seeing here is actually the single strike energy being attached to the Eviltal. We'll have to see exactly how Billy wants to play it out.
Of course, we see that flip of the V-Star marker for Summoning Star. Going to summon those Archeops onto the field here to start accelerating these energies with the ability as well off of that Archeops. Primal Turbo.
And we're going to see the second one, it looks like, as well, bringing down a couple energy to the Eviltal. Really strong attacker in this matchup, as it is a single prize Pokemon that can do enough damage to knock out the Dark Weak Gardevoir EX, but it's also pretty decent just as a one prize option as well. It can get in there as a one prize or knock out just about anything you could be up against. Let's see how Billy's going to play this out. If he plays that research, I'm going to be really annoyed that he didn't Ultra Ball away the single strike energy. But it looks like he's going to hold on to it, so it makes sense.
Holding on to it there, indeed. Going to be first to the prize cards here. Billy Chan taking a prize card off of that Mew, and we're over to Jesse now, promoting that memory skip Ralts onto the active position here. Going to use concealed cards right away, throwing another energy into the discard pile. That's where you want these energies to be so that you can summon them back out later in the game. We see the first refinement, well, really at this point, only refinement here from that Curlia for Jesse. And now we're just kind of taking a look at the hand here. Lots of cards to choose from, but what do you see in Chip?
I'm seeing the fact that Billy chose not to put a V-Guard energy on this active Lugia, which means Zacian V can come in and pretty reasonably take a KO on it. All Jesse's going to need is to find a way to get 8 Psychic energies on that Zacian V, as opposed to V-Guard forcing the 9th attachment. So this is going to be pretty nice for Jesse. If he can pull it off, there is a decent amount of cards in hand. I think I see Fog Crystal,
Yeah.
Ultra Ball, so there most likely is going to be a way to make this happen. Let's see if he can do it. He also has Forest Sealstone as well.
Yeah, honestly, there's been a lot of Psychic Energy already discarded here. We're going to see another one going into the discard pile with that Ultra Ball, and Jesse Spencer going to get out that Gardevoir EX from the deck.
He still has not used that other refinement, so I think,
Yep.
no, has used it, I'm sorry, as we do see it being
Rotated here.
rotated at this point.
Yeah, I think it was evolved and then quickly used after that. But that rare candy is going to bring this Gardevoir EX straight onto the field from a Ralts here. Jumping back in with a Fog Crystal, eyeing up either that Psychic, well, of course, that Zacian V, the piece that we still need here, and that's going to be drawn out from the Fog Crystal for Jesse.
And has that Forest Sealstone,
nice.
like we mentioned, flip of the V-Star marker. Any one single card now being added to the hand. Could get a Disruption Supporter, could find a Boss's Orders potentially, and it looks like Boss is going to be the choice. If I think that means Jesse is probably going to target down this Yveltal. It's really a little unassuming at this point. It's a one prize Pokemon, just a couple energies. Billy would love for Jesse to just kind of ignore that, but Jesse wisely recognizing this is a pretty real threat. The question for me is going to be which Pokemon does he attack with? He evolved the active Gardevoir before retreating. You know, the Ralts has one retreat, Gardevoir has two. So does that mean that he wants to go with the Gardevoir's attack to try to clear this Yveltal? And I think that is the answer.
Yep, either way, we're going to see that Psychic Embrace accelerate those energy onto the field. Has to take a couple of damage counters to get them out there, but 40 damage now on that Gardevoir EX to be able to take that knockout on the Yveltal. And now Billy Chan's going to reactivate that Lugia V-Star in the active position here. Draws into the Tyranitar.
Huge top deck right there.
Top
that
deck.
Tyranitar is a massive find, as it is a great way to take a one-hit knockout on this dark, weak Gardevoir EX.
Fantastic here. So Billy Chan, I'm sure, happy to see that. Still, I think I see, was it 2 urns in the hand as well? We still have that research.
I think it's 2 single strike energies potentially. I think one was taken off the prize
yes,
cards.
you're right.
Yeah, and there is that urn, so a great card to have held on to right now. 2 cards going back in. They're going to immediately be searched out with that Primal Turbo, I would imagine, actually going to shuffle here for a moment, probably because Research is going to be played potentially before the Primal Turbo. I think the sequencing between, like, do you want a Primal Turbo first or do you want to Research, kind of depends on what you want to draw. If you don't want to draw into the energies, you probably should Primal Turbo first, which in a spot like this, it's definitely a little risky. If you play the Research and draw into your single strike energies, you're not going to be able to attack. So Billy thinks about it, realizes, we got to go with the Turbo first.
Maybe thinks better of it and sequences a little bit safer here now that those energy are back in the deck. They're able to be accelerated onto the field with these Primal Turbo Archeops. That ability so strong, the major function of this deck here. And that Tyranitar is getting loaded up with energy.
It is technically possible for a Cragalanche to take the knockout on the Gardevoir. I think Billy would need all 4 single strike energies on this Pokemon. Recognizes that's pretty unlikely to hit, as there's 1 single strike energy in the hand, so he'd pretty much have to Research and then draw into an urn, put that back, and then still have a Primal Turbo available. So let's just go the safe route, go with the single strike Crush, keep a gift energy here, keep the V-Guard energy as well, make it a little bit harder for Jesse to find a response to. And then now I think the question is, does Billy at this point play the Research, or since you have a single strike energy in hand, do you choose to hold on to it?
Yeah, I think it's debating it. Going to take a quick look at the resources first, but deciding to Research here into another 7 cards to the hand.
The single strike energy, a pretty important piece to have access to. The second Tyranitar being drawn here is pretty solid. Something you're going to probably want to attack with on the next turn, potentially at least. And it is going to be that single strike Crush. Let's see what gets discarded. 1 urn does go down. The other piece is not too bad to see going away, though.
All right, so that is going to be 2 prize cards here for Billy Chan, still leading in the prize race after that Tyranitar V. Dark type knocking out that Psychic type Dark Weak Gardevoir EX. Now we're over to Jesse promoting the Spiritomb in the active. We're already seeing actions fly around here. 2 refinements already done, and a worker going to draw into an additional 3 cards here.
Yeah, would discard a Stadium, but there is not one in play. Still get to draw 3 cards. Workers downgraded to just a hop.
Just the hop. Wow. Dang, Chip. Called out. Ralt's going to come down onto the field here for Jesse.
Well, Jesse does have a boss's orders, so the boss play last turn did a couple of things. One, it cleared the Evil Tall out of play, which we mentioned being really strong, but two, it also played around the gift energy that was on this Lugia, and as you notice, there's a gift energy up here on the Tyranitar V as well, so that could potentially be an option, but oh, Jesse just doesn't have anything, has to just pass. No out to the Gardevoir EX, so can't do a thing that turn.
Oh my goodness, still 5 prize cards left to take on Jesse Spencer's side, and Billy Chan is dominating this game so far. Tyranitar V still in the active, fully loaded, ready to take knockouts. Billy Chan is just going to have to work with what's in the hand and maybe get some other Pokemon up there to knock out.
And as Jesse, I think that if you miss an attack on that turn, you probably just need to concede the game and go on to game 2. As Gardevoir, you're a little bit slower of a deck compared to other options in the format. You definitely require quite a bit more setup, and you're just naturally not the fastest of decks. So we are going to see Cragalanche milling too, but as Jesse, if you concede, you have plenty of time for a second and even potentially third game, but if you stick around in this one much longer, it's pretty unlikely you're going to find a way to take 5 prizes before your opponent can take just 2.
Yep, and this could be for a lot of reasons. Jesse Spencer maybe just wanted to play it out for the stream. I mean, only been playing the game for 7 months, so maybe just sticking it through. It looks like kind of debating here. We've seen the draw for turn and kind of debating what's in the hand, but it is looking grim for sure with Billy Chan's fully established board state over here, ready to knock out everything on Jesse Spencer's side.
Looking at the options in deck, the problem is that Jesse pretty much has to attack with a Shining Arcana Gardevoir and then hope that Billy can't piece together 2 more attacks before Jesse takes 3. Jesse needs to take 3 more knockouts here to win this game.
Well, here we go. We're going to see some more pieces going into the hand. That second refinement, rare candy going into the discard pile. Just stacking those energies up as well. Concealed cards, discarding another psychic energy.
We do see that Shining Arcana Gardevoir at least being drawn now. Can evolve the active and use Shining Arcana drawing 2. Does hit an energy card and also Ultra Ball. That's not too bad.
Nice.
That gets you the Gardevoir EX you need.
Yep, going to take a quick look at the hand here and then decide where to put this energy. It can be attached to your Pokemon from that Shining Arcana. You have that choice, and then the other card goes into your hand still. So we have that Curlia going to be evolved into from Jesse Spencer.
Not many cards left in deck
how
at this
many
point.
How many is there?
A couple
it looks
more
like 3
drawn.
or 4 cards left, but we see that refinement discarding the Battle VIP pass here into another 2 cards, and now we have that Gardevoir EX coming onto the field.
And Jesse does have the Iono, and Super Rod here can put back something maybe like the Spirit Tomb. Could be pretty decent right now. Let's see what goes back into the deck here off of this Rod. And then Jesse does also have an Iono, and that's where this game can get sketchy for the Lugia player, is if you Iono them, and then if Jesse had the Temple of Sinnoh, which we mentioned earlier on, he does not play that card. So Iono is going to hurt Billy initially, but after this Tyranitar goes down, Gift Energy is going to activate, and Billy will get to draw up to 7 cards in hand. A great way to help you play around the potential Iono.
Incredible. Such a small little card here in the list, but does so much work in this deck for sure. We're going to see the Ultra Ball here after the Super Rods, shuffling 3 more Pokemon into the deck, and we're going to see one of those Pokemon come back out from the Ultra Ball. Going to be the Memory Skip Ralts for Jesse Spencer.
Yeah, probably would have liked to see this be the Spirit Tomb. Just give yourself as much of a chance if you're going to stick around in this game, but it really probably just doesn't matter. The Collapse Stadium play here does get rid of the Zacian, so that's an easier target for Billy to take out with something like this Lugia V-Star on the bench. It could have maybe found Boss's Orders to take the KO, but the problem is that Billy can still find something like the Tyranitar potentially to take a knockout on Gardevoir. It does require Billy to find quite a bit more, though. Also, Billy may have milled. I think that mill of the urn might have been the 3rd and final urn. There might be one still hiding in the deck. It could have also been the last one, though.
Yeah, potentially. I'm not sure, Chip. But here we go. That Psychic Embrace Gardevoir, or sorry, the Psychic Embrace accelerating these energy to the Shining Arcana Gardevoir to take that huge knockout there on the Tyranitar V. 2 prize cards down for Jesse Spencer. But Billy Chan going to promote this Lugia V-Star and be able to respond here. Only 2 prize cards left to take down this game.
And that's the thing about this spot, is that Billy can close it out with a pair of attacks. Attack with this Lugia V-Star into the Gardevoir that's active, and then you can KO literally anything else.
Yep.
You can KO Ralts, you can KO the Radiant Greninja, Kirlia, whatever, to take your last prize. Tyranitar is coming down, so that tells me there probably is at least some count of single strike energy remaining.
Yep, we're going to see a single Primal Turbo here for now from Billy Chan. Yeah, let's take a look at the deck.
It does look like there is one Primal Turbo, or one single strike energy,
Yeah.
I should say. Not going to be enough for a Cragalanche, or excuse me, that second attack there on the Tyranitar, the single strike crush, but can still at least use Cragalanche.
Yep. So here we go, single strike energy being accelerated onto that Tyranitar V, as we were talking about. So many cards to the hand.
Yeah, a lot of energy as well, which is a little
Yeah.
annoying. You can't pull them out of the deck with the Archeops.
All right, it's just going to be that double turbo also attached to the Lugia V-Star in the active position right now for Billy Chan.
Billy was thinking about thinning, I think, also realizing Ultra Ball could be a good card to keep around, so decides to hold it for now. Does take the knockout, goes to one prize.
Yep.
And let's see what Jesse Spencer can make happen.
Yep, we're sitting here. Billy just one prize card away from winning this first game in our set, in our Swiss round 14. Jesse Spencer trying to keep it together here in this game. Gardevoir EX being promoted into the active position. Looks like just debating what to do here, asking how many cards in hand, and it is a lot here for Billy Chan.
Quite a few, yeah. Maybe as Jesse, I mean, if you're trying to squeak out a win here in this position, it's pretty unlikely you're going to win by attacking, I think. It's kind of got to be a line of, like, boss's orders, target this Lugia, maybe your opponent's extra double turbo energies are in the prize cards. They have a hard time moving it potentially, and then if they do and they hit into the Gardevoir, it's not enough for a knockout, so then on the next turn you boss's orders bring the Lugia back up again, like try to just really put a strain on their resources, and maybe you can win by deck out, but I don't even think Jesse wins by deck out because he's the one with less cards in deck.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of a difficult situation to be in here for Jesse Spencer. We are going to see the Iono, so Billy Chan just going to 1 in hand, Jesse Spencer only 3 in hand here now.
Jesse debating what to do. Did Psychic Embrace 2 energies here. Thinking about the retreat. There is the Zacian V in the hand. That could come to the active. But the problem is that you just Iono'd Billy's large hand. It's pretty unlikely. Maybe you could have done a play where you just make a read that Billy only got 1 energy last turn, only pulled the 1 single strike energy out. Maybe Billy just had in hand the rest of the energy cards in the deck. So if you don't play the Iono, you bring up the Zacian, you take the knockout. Maybe Billy, for some reason, somehow doesn't have energy left in the deck to accelerate to make that the attacker to close out the game.
Yeah, it really does look like Jesse Spencer trying to keep track of the resources that have been used so far from Billy Chan's side of the field. I mean, we have seen games before where the Lugia player runs out of resources, runs out of steam, and cannot attack or like cannot win the game. So maybe that's what Jesse Spencer is kind of relying on here.
Thinking about where to Psychic Embrace the next energy, it's just going to be the active. And we're going to see the hit with the Gardevoir EX into the Lugia. The question here is, does Billy Chan have the boss's orders or an Ultra Ball or a Lumineon? I guess Ultra Ball actually won't work here because there's only 1 extra card in hand. You cannot Ultra Ball if there is just 1 other card to discard.
Yep, just going to be that Miracle Force for 190 damage there. Billy Chan going to start off with a Primal Turbo to get back into that deck now. And as we saw, the Iono has put all of those energy cards into the deck once again for Billy.
And I think all this is really doing is just kind of prolonging the inevitable here, it feels like. As Billy, you don't really care if this Lugia gets KO'd. You just let it go down and then
it's gone.
And then you come up and take your last prize. And now that Ultra Ball has been drawn for turn, and if your opponent doesn't find a way to get that Spiritomb back in play, you know that Lumineon's going to be your out to find boss to take a 1 prize knockout for the game.
Yep, that's one thing Jesse Spencer cannot do. There's no water energy for some sort of Moonlight Shuriken action, you know?
So this is going to be 160 damage, I believe, here from the Cragalanche. Not quite enough, but it will mill a couple cards. And
yeah, look at that.
I think Jesse recognizes, I can't win from this position. It wasn't enough for the KO, but it was enough to just drain Jesse of all the resources available. Had no plays left. Billy Chan wins game 1.
Yep, Billy Chan taking down game 1 with Lugia V-Star. Jesse trying to keep track of these resources and hold it out, but not able to do that. 26 minutes as of now left on the clock here for our players. Going back to that game, Chip, would you have liked to see the concede when we were talking about it for sure? Or did you think there was some way to kind of carry that out? Well,
yeah, I think probably Jesse could have conceded a little bit earlier. All that did was end up eating a lot of time off the clock. And I mean, if you've paid attention to the Pokemon TCG social media, talks over the last few weeks, you know that everyone's talking about time and Gardevoir and how much time this deck takes. By not conceding here, it really just ate another 10 or so minutes off the clock because that game ended up drawing out quite a bit longer than I think people realized it would have because Billy didn't find that quick boss's orders to close it out, so it ended up being an additional turn or 2 than it would have been otherwise.
Yep, Billy kept the pace the entire game here and was able to take it home, bringing us to a 1-0. We saw that little fun fact saying that Billy looks younger than I suppose he actually...
No, I think it said he...
Oh, he looks older?
He looks older than he is.
He's older than he looks. Yeah, no, so he looks younger.
He says he'll tell us how old he is if he gets interviewed, so...
Oh, well, we're one game away from getting that interview.
I think we got to get some guesses, right?
Oh, no.
Maybe we shouldn't, I guess.
Oh, no.
Let's get into this game.
Yeah, let's avoid that one, Chip. All right, we're starting this game off on Jesse Spencer's side now. Of course, when you take a loss in game 1, you get to choose who goes first or second. So Jesse's starting us off here. Ralt's in the active position, and that familiar Mew being drawn out onto the field. So much utility in this deck. Allows you to draw those 6 cards and select an item card out of there. And look at that item card,
the perfect one to find.
That's the one you want to find for sure, and that just speaks to how good Mew is here. Battle VIP Pass going to be played straight away to get these Pokemon onto the field.
And I do like this, once again, recognizing Spiritomb really strong in this matchup. It's kind of the obvious counter in here for the Mew VMAX deck that you could go up against, but it just so happens that it's pretty good against Lugia as well.
Yup, I don't know if we glanced briefly at the prize cards here, but some Pokemon for both players in the prize cards. Zacian V, a Kirlia, and a Ralts, and then 2 Lugia and that Tyranitar, 1 copy of Tyranitar for Billy Chan in the prizes.
We do see just a research immediately does ditch an Urn and a Lugia V-Star. We'll see what this draw has for Billy. Still no Archeops.
Wow, look at that.
No Ultra Ball either. There is a Capturing Aroma and a Mesagoza.
Ooh, Mesagoza, let's see if it's a heads.
It is going to be a tails, and this is the type of situation where not having access to Luminion to go get Professor Burnett is actually really bad.
Yeah, that is tough indeed. We're just going to see the Nest Ball here from Billy Chan to search out a basic Pokemon, but yeah, no way to get those Archeops here into hand or discarded at all for Billy Chan. Also started the Pumpkaboo in the active, which is a bit awkward as well.
Yeah, and this is setting up nicely for Jesse because Billy, I think unfortunately for him, did start this Pumpkaboo. It's a 60 HP Pokemon. It's actually pretty easy to knock out with something on turn 2 like a Cresselia.
Yeah.
Normally a card that's not really strong in this matchup, but if you can just get a prize card on this Pumpkaboo, you're going to have to probably get through an Eviltal or a Stonjourner at some point in the game. It does feel a little bad to put yourself on odd prizes, but at least taking this knockout gets you a step in the right direction, and it makes Billy maybe think twice about using that Eviltal or Stonjourner. Yeah,
I'm excited to see what Jesse Spencer, what routes he decides to take in this game. Start off with the Mesagoza, did flip a Tails, so no Pokemon searched out from that. We see the Kirlia being evolved into, and then straight away into an Iono here for both players.
Billy drew Ultra Ball double Archeops.
I was about to say, that looks like a really good hand chip. Oh no, Iono not really working out there for Jesse's side of the field over on Billy's side, but here at least having his own new cards to the hand as well. Level Ball going to bring out another Pokemon from the deck here. Of course, that second Kirlia going to add an additional refinement for Jesse Spencer to get even more cards.
Yeah, so we're not going to see a turn 2 play with that Cresselia or even a Zacian. No attacks coming out this turn as the other Ralts was just put into play, but it's still going to be a turn of setup, which is really strong.
Yep, this is a set-up deck for sure, and Jesse Spencer is establishing this board state over many, many more cards. And this is why this deck takes so long. There are so many actions that you do in a single turn, and after pretty much every single action, you're shuffling the deck, you're having to reset your board, rotating all these cards and abilities, so it just does eat away at more time than some other decks in the format currently. Saw that Fog Crystal for Jesse Spencer.
Yeah, I think Jesse would have liked to have gotten the 4th Ralts. It is unfortunately prized in this spot. We saw in game 1, Jesse actually took a good bit of time to check his prize cards really quick. Didn't do that in this game, and I think he's recognizing that he doesn't have the time to make those plays.
Yeah, we see the expression on Jesse Spencer's face when the Ultra Ball for double Archeops goes down after Billy Chan was really not able to do anything like that in the first turn, and now it's just a perfect hand. We see that V-Star marker being flipped right away to Summoning Star out those Archeops onto the field here, and yeah, things are really kicking off here now for Billy Chan. I'm sure saying, wow, that Iono did me pretty well.
And it is going to be the Capturing Aroma. Does flip a tails, finds a basic Pokemon, and Stone Journer going to be the attacker here. Seems like a little bit of an odd choice on paper, as it is a fighting-type Pokemon. Most of Jesse's Pokemon are actually resistant to fighting. It's a tech in this matchup for things like the Arceus V-Stars and the Miraidon EXs, but it actually ends up being pretty decent in a matchup like this where you just need one prize Pokemon.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of HP and does enough damage to knock out little old Mew.
Yeah, we don't often talk a ton about the versatility of Lugia, but it does have the options to convert itself into a single prize deck pretty easily with a lot of attackers that it has there, and we're seeing that now into the Sojourner.
I am foreseeing a potential issue here, though. Only one single strike energy pulled out. I don't think there was one in the hand. Lance Pulse does deal 60 damage right now, and it will be 80 with one single strike energy because there's a stadium card in play. Mew has 60 HP, but you know what else Mew has?
Resistance.
Fighting resistance.
Oh, no.
It's actually not enough for the KO.
No, it's not enough. And Jesse Spencer knows that, saying, wait, I have resistance here. Oh, Billy
It's only
Chan.
50 damage.
Yeah. I think miscalculating here. And often resistance doesn't come into play that often here, but now that it does, I'm sure Billy Chan's saying, oh no.
Yep.
This little tiny Mew is staying in the active position here, and that's essentially a free turn for Jesse Spencer.
Yeah, it is maybe a little annoying because now you can't Psychic Embrace to this active Mew to retreat it, but
True.
I don't think you mind just using your attachment for turn in that spot.
Yeah, at least the Mew's still alive, and you still get that utility out of the mysterious tail, so that's just even more for Jesse Spencer to add into the hand and take things away here. So yeah, Billy Chan probably not too happy about that, but here you go. Everyone watching, pay attention to your weakness and your resistance as well. Rare Candy going to be refined here, I think, for Jesse Spencer off that first refinement, drawing into a couple more cards. Where are we going to see this go from here, do you think, Chip?
Yeah, Jesse does have some options. There's a Zacian V in the hand. There's also Forest Sealstone, and there is Boss's Orders. So we could totally see a Boss's Orders with the Zacian V taking out one of these two different two-prize Pokemon. That would do a few things. It would play around the gift energy that's on this Stone Journer, and it also keeps Jesse on even prize cards. He can go for the route of 2 prizes this turn, 2 prizes next turn, 2 prizes on the final turn. The problem with that, though, is Billy doesn't necessarily have to put a third 2-prize Pokemon into play.
Yeah, and I think our players that are well-versed in these matchups do definitely take note of that. You don't want to put any liabilities out there. We already started with the Pumpkaboo, so that's already on the field here for Jesse Spencer. But yeah, he might not even have to worry about that as long as he's taking those 2 prize card knockouts consistently every turn. So hopefully that's what we get to see here from Jesse Spencer. But we have a lot of actions coming down. That Zacian V coming onto the field, as well as that Forest Sealstone.
Yeah, Jesse's doing the math, figuring it out, is going to utilize that Star Alchemy now, searching the deck for any single card. Has Ultra Ball in the hand, which can get the Gardevoir. Looks like Shining Arcana Gardevoir is going to be the grab on the Forest Sealstone. Maybe a little bit of extra card draw desired at this point.
Yep, so that Shining Arcana coming into play here. Going to flip these 2 cards. If it was an energy, you could accelerate it, but it's just going to be 2 cards going into the hand. One of them, a Battle VIP Pass, doesn't have utility for you, but is an easy discard to that Ultra Ball. So Jesse Spencer going back into the deck here to search out another Pokemon, and it's going to be that Gardevoir EX coming straight down onto the field here.
So needs either 6 energy in order to KO the Lugia V, or 8 energy to KO the Lugia V Star, but it actually looks like we're not going to go. I guess actually can Boss's orders with the single prize. Gardevoir doesn't even have to use the Zacian V, which is pretty nice. Brings up this Lugia V to take 2 prizes and saves the Zacian for a potential attacker later on.
Yeah, delays things even more. That Psychic Embrace accelerating these energy, and that's going to be a single prize Pokemon in that Shining Arcana Gardevoir, taking a knockout on that double prize Lugia V. So Jesse Spencer leading now in the prize race, and Billy Chan having to recover after that resistance turn. That was a little bit of a goof.
I do see Boss's orders is the draw for turns. That does open up quite a few plays here for Billy Chan to try to utilize. Does flip heads on Mesagoza as well. Any Pokemon now can be added to the hand, and with Yveltal still in the deck, could we see that single strike attacker maybe target down the Gardevoir EX right now?
Yeah. We've been talking about the single prize attackers and that Stonejourner, even Archeops can attack as well, and that Yveltal too. So we'll see if that is a part of Billy Chan's strategy here to kind of lead with that. Of course, Yveltal being a dark type, where Jesse Spencer is dark weak, is fantastic here. So looks like it's going to be the choice of that Yveltal for Billy Chan off of the Mesagoza.
Yeah, it does find that Yveltal. We'll see where the rest of this turn goes. It maybe gets a little awkward because you have to put some extra energy on your active potentially. I think, yeah, Billy checking the resistance of the Gardevoir.
I don't even blame him.
Not going to blunder once again.
I don't even blame him at all for that.
Not for a second.
Yeah, that is tough here, but making sure that all of the math is going to align to get a knockout here. And that is the pros that you start to see from Gardevoir. You have this single prize Pokemon that can do so much damage. And then once you wipe it off the field and knock it out, all those energy just go right back into the discard pile and are able to be accelerated once again with a Psychic Embrace and just line up another attacker. That's what we're going to hopefully see from Jesse Spencer. But that Stonejourner is able to take a knockout here on that Gardevoir on Jesse's side. So Billy Chan going to take a single prize. Now it's up to Jesse Spencer to continue this pace of play.
Maybe we'd want to find another Boss's orders here, go after that Lugia V-Star. It's an okay turn if you're going to have to attack into the Stonejourner at some point, but this also could work out pretty decently. Cresselia, we mentioned this as a potential early game play, but it still can target down little old Pumpkaboo.
Not the pumpkin.
Take that out. We'll see if that's the route that Jesse wants to go. And that would also be really strong because it would allow Jesse to Psychic Embrace extra energy onto Pokemon like the Curlia, Pokemon like the Zacian, and then at the same time heal those Pokemon so that you can get extra energy cards on them later in the future.
Well, Chip, it is fitting. It's October. Maybe it's time to carve up some pumpkins, eh?
Nice.
Well, we see that Cresselia going into the active position here for some Moon Glow Reverse. That's why you see those damage counters being thrown off of Jesse Spencer's field, moved on to Billy Chan's field to take a knockout there on that poor little pumpkin Pumpkaboo.
Yeah, there was definitely an opportunity to put some extra energy onto one of these Pokemon. Chose not to do that. Did have enough damage regardless, so just choosing to keep those energies hanging around in the discard pile. I guess, yeah, I don't know. I think it would have been pretty solid so that at least on the Zacian, you can get a little bit closer to the Lugia knockout without having to heavily damage yourself. With something like the Gardevoir, you get closer to the Lugia knockout for the same reason. But as it stands, it was just the Moonglow Reverse to the Pumpkaboo.
All right, Stonejourner going to get another single strike energy here from Billy Chan's side off of that Primal Turbo.
Yep, gonna double check everything out here. Once again, Cresselia is resistant to fighting, but with the pair of single strike energies attached, Giga Hammer will be able to get this knockout.
Giga Hammer, yeah, just to mention the resistance is minus 30 from that whatever type it's resistant to. So definitely have to take that into account here, but is going to get that single prize knockout here. Billy Chan going down another prize card over to Jesse Spencer, who's really taken the opposite of last game's pace and now is able to be leading so far here. And things are going swell. Level Ball going to grab a Manaphy out, just thinning it from the deck here for Jesse Spencer.
Yeah, doesn't want that in the deck any longer. You don't need the Level Ball anymore either, so just get that Manaphy out of there. Thinning is winning.
Thinning is winning, and you know what else is winning, Chip? Rolling heads on Mesa Goza. Going to be a
Pretty
free
strong.
Pokemon drawn out of the deck here for Jesse Spencer in that Gardevoir.
Yeah, I think Jesse also this turn does probably want to try to establish another Ralts so that it can become a Curlia next turn or even be threatening a rare candy. I do see that Super Rod in the hand, so that'll probably be pretty good to get those pieces back at some point. Still a Ralts in the prizes, but one is in the discard pile. And Fog Crystal is going to actually just grab out the Psychic Energy. Yeah, I definitely want to see Jesse look for the Ralts bench here this turn, I think.
Yeah, it was just a quick Mysterious Tail into the Fog Crystal straight away into grabbing that basic Psychic Energy off the Fog Crystal, taking account of these energy that are in the discard pile now for Jesse. But yeah, do we see anything else in hand that's going to be played? We at least see a Refinement, drawing into 2 more energy cards for Jesse Spencer.
Yeah, maybe wishing that had been the Shining Arcana, but due to sequencing,
true.
of course,
Well,
you got to go this way, and does at least still hit one. Let's see where it goes.
At least one. Yeah. Debating where to put that energy from the Shining Arcana, as well as I think it was Collapse Stadium was the other card.
Which could be nice to maybe clear one of these 2 prize Pokemon out of play to eliminate Billy's most straightforward way to win of KO 2 prizer, KO 2 prizer.
Yep, some utility potentially down the line here. We're going to see the Super Rod as well from Jesse. We're cycling a couple of Pokemon. Well, not a couple. It could just be that Ralts here back into the deck, because I think that's the Ralts we're aiming for, Chip.
Yeah, I think we definitely want the Ralts. You probably should put back the Gardevoir at least, and maybe the Curlia as well, but it actually is going to just be the Ralts at this point. Doesn't want to clog the deck up too much. Ultra Ball now can fetch that Pokemon right back out of the deck.
Yep, throwing out a Psychic Energy and that Manaphy that doesn't have any utility here right now for Jesse Spencer. It's going to be the Radiant Greninja off of that Ultra Ball.
Yeah, pretty interesting. There's not too many energy cards left hanging around for concealed cards to get value from. Yeah, and it is going to be the Greninja coming down onto the bench, and it will be the concealed cards.
2 more cards drawn for Jesse Spencer. One of them was the rare candy that I saw, but there's not many cards left in the deck here. We see the attach onto that Mew to be able to retreat it into this Gardevoir.
So this is where things can get a little risky for Jesse. He's going to take a knockout here, go to 2 prizes left, only needs to knock out a Lugia V-Star to close out the game. But as Billy, if you play Iono this turn, Jesse's board is not really set to withstand an Iono. There's the Mew with a bunch of damage on it, of course, and there's the Gardevoir, there's Greninja, but there's not many energy cards left. No Ralts, no Curlia, no Shining Arcana Gardevoirs to potentially get you some extra card draw. So Jesse's going to be left with most likely a 2 or 3 card hand. Let's see if Billy has the Iono. That would be huge here.
That would definitely be huge, Chip. We'll have to see it. I don't see it in hand, but Jesse Spencer, just going to take a prize card off of that Stone Journey.
Iono on the top deck?
Knockout top deck? Oh, a supporter, but it's going to be that Professor's Research off the top deck. Billy Chan promoting that Lugia V-Star into the active, taking a quick count of Jesse Spencer's cards in the deck still, and taking account of the energy on that Shining Arcana Gardevoir in the active as well.
Yeah, so if Billy can find a couple of boss in a row, that could close this game up. There is at least a boss in the hand, it looks like. With the Collapse Stadium being put into play, there are still 2 targets live for Billy to take out, the Zacian V and the Gardevoir. So probably this turn we want to see this Lugia KO the Zacian V. You just need to put 2 non-double turbo energy on this active Pokemon. It still does 220. And then later on, you're going to look for that Eviltal, which is likely going to be benched, is thinking about it at least. And we're going to look for that to KO this Gardevoir to try to close the game out.
Yep, Billy Chan, 4 prize cards left to take in order to take a 2-0 here in this match. And Jesse Spencer, only 2 left to take. So has to make things happen on this upcoming turn to take a win. Earn a Vitality, going to shuffle these single strike energy back into the deck here for Billy Chan as well.
Oh, and this actually makes a lot of sense to do it at this point. So I think we're going to actually see Billy go for the Eviltal boss KO play on Gardevoir right now. And this is something you're able to do because Jesse did not put another Gardevoir in play. You know, Zacian is not going to be able to be powered up to its full potential to try to KO this Lugia. Now, I guess with 8 energy on this Gardevoir, you just need 1 more attachment, right, to get to the knockout on Lugia V-Star. So it's still not too bad, but I think there's a bunch of energy in the discard pile at the moment.
Yeah, I think there potentially is as well. Well, that's what Billy Chan's going to go for here, accelerating these energy onto this Evital on the bench here.
Yeah, actually, with the 8 energy, it is going to be enough. You know, V-Guard is not, of course, affected by the Gardevoir. So all Jesse actually is going to need is a boss's orders to try to KO this Lugia. So this turn, I think, yeah, definitely we need to go with the Evital attack, which is exactly what Billy is going to do. And yeah, got to cross the fingers here and kind of hope that Jesse just does not have boss's orders.
Yeah, because that is a single prize Pokemon in the Evital, getting the knockout on that Gardevoir. That's going to be 2 prize cards for Billy Chan, going down to only 2 more left to take.
Shining Arcana.
Jesse needs,
there
and here we have it, the boss's orders. Going to get the knockout on that Lugia V-Star for Jesse Spencer, taking down a game here with less than 6 minutes on the clock and tying us up 1-1 between these players.
Yeah, Jesse almost seems a little surprised to have won that game, but he finds a way to make it happen, gets the win. We're moving on to game 3. Not too much time remaining, though, so it's going to be pretty difficult, I think, for Jesse to find a win. I think in spots like this, the deck that can be more aggressive is favored to actually close out and win the set, and that is absolutely Billy's deck in this game.
Yep, we see Billy Chan trying everything here, leaving up that single prize Pokemon and taking a knockout. But Jesse Spencer did have that boss's orders to take the last 2 prize cards needed and take that game. Fantastic here from Jesse Spencer. Things definitely went a lot better with that initial setup from Jesse Spencer in our game 2. And Billy Chan, I'm wondering, you know, that turn with the Sojourner, if that kind of made a major impact there for Billy.
Yeah, maybe made Billy feel like had to go for the boss's orders play on that last turn. I guess Iono wasn't an option regardless because it just wasn't in the hand. We're going to get into this next game. Billy will likely be going first. Looks like there is a mulligan, so Billy's going to have to try to shuffle up and find a basic Pokemon. And it's so annoying in these spots to have to be searching for a basic Pokemon when you're just trying to get into the game. It's like, okay,
I
know I'm going to find
Clock's
one eventually. Like, let's just find a basic and get started with this last 3rd game.
Yeah, that is a bit annoying, especially, you know, clock is so slim here. You want to get into this game and try to secure this win. Both these players sitting at 30 and 31 points, so they're trying to get this win and win once again to get into our top cut here. And we're going to have to see if things get wild here for either of our players and we're able to see some early knockouts potentially.
Pair of single strike energies in the prizes for Billy, less than ideal. A couple battle VIP pass over on Jesse's end could limit his setup. Also a Gardevoir and a Curlia. Never great to see those in the prizes.
Here we go, kicking off. This is our round 14. Both of our players, Billy Chan and Jesse Spencer, into a game 3. Now it all comes down to this. Only 3 minutes and 30 seconds and an additional 3 turns for our players. And Billy Chan, starting with the Radiant Serena, attaching a single strike energy to that Evital on bench and just passing over to Jesse Spencer.
Not much going on in the hand here for Jesse Spencer, though. Does bench the Zacian, has an energy, and basically all he can do is just attach and pass. Can't even use Roar of the Sword because of his own Spiritomb that's in play.
Yeah, Spiritomb limiting it here, I suppose, on that Zacian V. But wow, look at that. Jesse Spencer just going to pass over to Billy Chan now here. What do we see in the hands?
Some pretty unfortunate things over here as well. There is at least a Professor's Research, which is, you know, going to lead to a better setup than what Jesse had, but having to ditch 2 pretty key cards, a pair of Urn of Vitality going down.
Yeah, especially when 2 of the single strike energy are in the prize cards as well for Billy. But that Ultra Ball is going to get that Archeops out of the deck here for Billy, so we'll at least get one of those in the discard. I think we saw Professor's Research already in the hand, so we're going to see some more draw here from Billy and one of those Archeops go down.
I could be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure Billy had the Lugia V in hand and chose to open up with the Radiant Serena, which is a pretty interesting play. It's got 2 retreat, and it's really not even especially good in this matchup. I could be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure that's what I saw.
What?
Let's see here what Billy is able to find. It looks like there is at least 1 Capturing Aroma to try to get maybe an evolution, but it flips tails. It's going to have to be a basic. So we cannot even see a Lugia V-Star come into play this turn.
All right, so we're searching through the deck. Gonna take a look. Has to be a basic. For Billy, it's just gonna be that Tyranitar V being drawn out.
And probably just a bench of that Tyranitar and maybe an attachment of an energy card and a pass, most likely incoming for Billy. Really no other plays available right now.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Just an awkward hand. I guess the Lugia V here going to be put onto the board as well. Adding another Pokemon down here.
Into gift energy on the active Serena, just in case it gets knocked out, I guess. Let's see what the draw for turn is. Just a psychic energy. Going to be a lot of pressure on this refinement. Let's see what Jesse finds. A psychic and a boss.
Oh, that was boss.
Yeah.
No. All right, Jesse Spencer's still not working with very much. Going to attach for turn here on that Zacian V on the bench, and then put Collapse Stadium into play.
Yeah, so the collapsed here means Billy needs to find a stadium, which, of course, he just top decked, found the Messagoza.
The top deck.
Yes, and would need that in order to clear the bench space up a little bit so that 2 Archeops could be put into play this turn.
Yeah, you never really want to be just putting one.
He just passed.
What?
What is he doing? He has Messagoza. If he hits heads on Messagoza, he literally just has Lugia V-Star.
Wait, does he have it? Wait.
Yeah, because he has Burnett in hand as well.
You're right. You're right.
So I think I definitely would have gone for the Messagoza here. I'm pretty positive that was a Burnett there in the hand for Billy Chan.
Yeah, that's a Burnett for sure.
Yeah, all the way at the back of the hand, yep.
Oh, no. Okay, well, now we're over onto Jesse Spencer's side of the field.
And even if Jesse is not getting set up very well, the last thing you want to do is give the Gardevoir deck more time to get going.
I was just thinking maybe it's just because there's like so little time.
That might be what Billy's thinking.
It's got to be it. That like he's just thinking there's no way we're going to conclude this. Let's just play it out.
Also, like, I mean, who knows? Maybe there's a chance these players had a gentleman's agreement as well.
Oh, that's true.
If that was the case, Billy would definitely want to be playing to put himself in as winning of a position as possible. A tie here doesn't necessarily eliminate Billy. That would put him to 32 match points, can win in the last round and hope to bubble in at 35. Jesse, unfortunately, though, cannot really afford to take a tie, which it looks like that is going to be the case here. Turn 0 probably for Billy, right?
They said Jesse's turn 2, so it would have been 0, 1, 2.
Okay.
Yeah, so turn 0 here then for
I believe it is turn
Jesse.
0 currently, yes.
Yeah. All right, so here we go. Continuing to play a bunch of cards here. No surprise here from Gardevoir. We see the evolution into that EX, accelerating these energy onto the active Pokemon here for Jesse. And the boss's orders that we saw drawn earlier is going to take a knockout on this Evital for the first prize card in game.
Yeah, so barring any gentleman's agreement, this game is just going to end in a tie. It doesn't really matter what Billy does at this point. I mean, if he recognizes the situation, we're probably just going to see him pass even, but looks like we are going to play the Messagoza now. A turn later for some reason, and the heads flip now is going to find a Lugia V-Star.
Yep, there we go. Heads on Messagoza allows you to search out that Pokemon, and the Lugia V-Star is what Billy Chan needed here, evolving that active Lugia V. And now we're going to see this Professor Burnett as well.
You're going to discard at least one more Archeops, probably the other one if it is in the deck. I know there's one in hand. Sure enough, the 2 most useless cards when they're in your deck. But the most powerful ones once you put them into play, which we're seeing now with the flip of the V-Star marker.
Absolutely. That Summoning Star, summoning the Archeops to the bench here for Billy Chan to allow for this energy acceleration here.
Primal Turbo, of course, able to pull 2 energy cards out of the deck. Looks like it will be a V-Guard and a gift to the Lugia. Not going to be able to knock out this Gardevoir. 200 damage most likely incoming. We'll put it up to 260. Gardevoir hanging on by 50 HP. And I think as Jesse, you kind of are okay with this position. Obviously, your Gardevoir taking a hit, moving it to the bench. You even have an opportunity to potentially collapse it away. There are 2 Collapse Stadium in Jesse's list. Has already played one single one.
Yep.
And Tempest Dive will discard that stadium.
Wipe some damage off the board potentially. Messagoza is gone now from that Tempest Dive. And Jesse Spencer, what was that top deck?
Looks like it's an Iono. And I think this is going to be turn 2 of time, correct? So this is Jesse Spencer's last turn. You think he's got a way to take 5 prizes right now, Boo?
I'm going to say no on that. So I'd put my money on the no, Chip.
I think you'd be winning.
Well, we see here that refinement, discarding the Iono just to draw an additional 2 cards. Kind of an anticlimactic ending, I suppose, to this. But
yeah, definitely a little bit of a bummer. Just not enough time to get this game going. And this was a clunky setup for both players as well.
It was.
In this third game. I would love to have seen how it would have ended. I'm
Yeah,
still kind of stuck on the fact that Billy, a couple turns ago, didn't play
Didn't miss
Messagoza.
Messagoza.
Give yourself a 50-50 to just set up and try to run your opponent over a little bit. But
I agree.
just
I
didn't
agree.
happen.
We're going to see the level ball here from Jesse Spencer playing out this last turn of the game for Jesse. Just searching out a Ralts, benching it down.
For Sealstone even being attached to Zacian. And, I mean, we don't know the situation here. Maybe, like we said, these players could have some sort of agreement.
True.
You know, this will happen in these situations where a tie doesn't really benefit anyone, and these players will just agree to say, hey, if we look like we're going to tie, let's, you know, maybe see based on the board state who we think would have won this game if it played out, and that person gets the win. But it looks like it is going to end in a tie based on that little discussion right here. So a little bit of an anticlimactic ending to our round 14 match.
Yeah, Chip, what's up with us and the ties this weekend? I feel like multiple matches we've casted ending in ties here between our players, but still, I feel like we had a lot of exciting moments there for both of these decks. And really, I mean, we started this match off talking about the ups and downs of both of these decks, and you got to see it fully showcased between these players throughout both of these games, or really all three. I mean, not really the third game, but both of the first games we saw just how powerful Lugia V-Star can be, and then Jesse Spencer able to take things home in that second game as well.
Was an intense first game, ends up going a little bit longer than maybe it should have. Jesse sticking it out for quite a while, and Billy Chan does get ahead here with that first KO. And just kind of ends up steamrolling things. Jesse missed an attack in this game that just led to Billy eventually getting way too far ahead.
Yep, we saw a lot of back and forth here, but Billy Chan was able to keep up pace and continue consistent knockouts and take all of the prize cards left and win this first game coming up.
He was able to take it down. Jesse kind of recognizing there's low chance to win, concedes finally. Took a little long, but yeah, it does eventually concede, and we go into the second game where it was a little bit of a slower setup for Jesse once again, but did find a way to come back and win this game number 2.
Yeah, absolutely. This is the big turn where we see Resistance come into play off of this Mew in the active position. Wasn't able to get a knockout with that Stonejourner. It stayed alive there for Jesse Spencer, and that just added an additional turn for Jesse to line things up and continue the pace of taking these prize cards one after another, leading the prize race the entire time. Billy Chan tried to stick it out, putting just a single prize card up there, but Jesse Spencer had the boss's orders, able to take this knockout, and there you go. Looks pretty surprised by taking that, but then we were in our third game. Both of our players 1-1 here.
And it was a tie here at the end. Neither player able to close things out. Only 5 minutes or so remaining as we got into the game number 3. Really just not enough time to play a game of Pokemon.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I would have loved to see maybe, like you said, kind of a speedier concession in the game 1, just so we could see more excitement in our game 3 potentially. But hey, sometimes that's what happens. Our players has the decision when to concede their games. So,
and with Gardevoir as well, it's kind of hard to concede because it's such a comeback